Here is a Williams Blackout pinball machine that I'm going to be repairing and restoring for JMP. It's actually all complete and mostly working, but it looks like I'm probably going to swap the playfield as it's got quite a bit of wear in the central area. That's quite common on this game. Other than that, I think everything else on the playfield is quite good, so I might swap some of these mechanisms over onto another playfield that I've got. Displays are all working. I'll power up in a minute, but displays are all working. Board sets are fairly clean. A couple of issues: flippers aren't currently working. General illumination's not working. Those resistors look like they probably want replacing soon. I also need to add the safety fuses on these two bridge rectifiers because that's not been done yet. And that's quite important to do. Okay. I'm just doing the safety fuses now, as I don't really want to be powering the machine up for too long without fitting this quite important modification first. So I'm just working on this first bridge rectifier here. I've cut one of the red AC input wires. There's the other end of it. And I'm soldering it to an inline 32mm fuse holder. Putting an 8 amp slow blow fuse in there. I'm just going to solder the other end up and then put some heat shrink tubing over the solder joints. That's one bridge rectifier done, so it's all inline fuse holder, nice and neatly done. I'll do the other one first and then I'll tidy the wiring up by cable tying up to the rest of the harness there. And that's both of the safety fuses added now, both done, both soldered and heat shrinked, nice and neatly. I've just undone all the wire ties on this harness here. I'm just going to neaten it all up and then re-wire tie it all back together nice and tidy. I'll be doing that next. Another job I'm going to do straight away is replace all the fuses in this game. I can't really focus onto this, but that says 35 amps on the fuse and that one says 25 on it. And I know for sure that there are no fuses in this game that should be 25 or 35 amps, so that's quite dangerous, so I'm going to replace every single fuse to make sure it's correct. I've replaced all the fuses now. Only one of them was actually the right value, the rest of them were all wrong, so I'm glad I've actually done that. I think that filter capacitor there is probably going to want replacing, so I'm going to order one of those. The battery holder's in pretty poor condition, the contacts are sort of half worn away, so I'm probably going to install a remote battery holder and remove that one. I'm just going to do a few more checks before I do a power up, make sure there's no shorts or anything. The game has booted up and it will coin up and start a game, but the flippers don't do anything, the 5V line is a bit low, and there's an intermittent issue with the high voltage for displays. All 5 displays actually came on before, but they keep flicking off every now and then, so I need to have a look at that power supply in the high voltage section. Well, I've checked both HV rails and both are pretty accurate and pretty stable. Just look at the -100 now, which is -102. Yeah, as the voltages seem to be okay, it's probably going to be a blanking issue that's causing the displays not to work correctly, so I'm going to have to look at that next. And here are the displays working again without me actually doing anything, apart from wiggling the connectors. I'm starting to think the blanking signal is actually intermittent and dropping out, maybe down to a bad connector. So I'm going to play around with that, investigate that further now. The display issue's now been resolved. It was in fact a bad pin on the connector supplying the blanking signal to the display driver board. The displays almost work perfectly, however players 3 and 4 are missing the middle segment, as you can see from both displays. As it's a pair of displays affected, I'm going to assume it's probably the driver board that's responsible for that, and I will have a look at that in more detail shortly. I tested the flipper enable relay and that tested good on the bench. I also tested the drive transistor for the relay and that tested okay on the bench. However, after replacing the drive transistor with a new one, that brought flippers back to life, so sometimes the bench test can be deceiving. Now underneath the playfield I also needed to clean the end of stroke switches on both flipper mechanisms, as they were quite dirty and were resulting in weak flippers. I also obviously cleaned the cabinet switches as well, and the flippers are nice and strong now. This large package I've had in my attic for maybe 5 or 6 years unopened. Now I seem to remember a long time ago buying a spare Blackout playfield, so I'm hoping that's what it is. I'm actually going to open it for the first time now and see what's inside. Whoever I bought it from did a pretty good job of packing it off. It was quite well done. So it's obviously got some issues, like the broken pop bumper, a couple of broken plastics, missing flipper, but I think the woodwork is, well, the artwork is in better condition than the other playfield I've currently got in the machine. So I might swap this one over. And this is another playfield I've got. Now the actual the mechanisms and the plastics are in really poor condition on this one. However, the artwork might be the best on this one of all three. So I think I should be able to make something pretty good out of all three of them. I've put the best playfield in now, in terms of artwork anyway. As you can see, the centre section is a lot nicer than the one I had in previously. I'm not actually sure if I think this is good enough to warrant all the effort of getting this playfield working, because this playfield's quite a mess. It needs a few things doing. It's got a few gouges in it, and it's still got scratches going down it. And there's bits missing. Poor condition plastics on this one. I'm just not sure it's worth the extra effort to swap everything over from the other playfield onto this one, just for a bit better condition. I might actually have a go at touching up the artwork on the previous playfield, as at least that playfield was fully working and the mechanisms etc were all in good condition. So I'll have a good look at both of them and see which I'm going to decide to do. So I've swapped the playfield back to the original one again, because other than this part here, it is significantly better conditioned playfield overall. So yeah, I think I'm going to have a go at touching this one up, see what it looks like. If it doesn't look any good, I can always swap the wood over from one of the other playfields I've got spare, but I think this one looks like a better starting point anyway in terms of playfield. All the plastics are off now, so I'm going to give it a clean up, replace the bulbs, put new rubbers on. Might put some of the metal parts in the tumbler to polish those up as well actually. Could do a few new screws because they look a bit corroded, some of them as well. I'll get on with that now. I've done an initial pass over the playfield with Novus 2 just to get rid of most of the dirt. There's some black marks I'm going to have a go at getting off with the melamine foam and alcohol. Yeah, it's come up quite a lot better already, but I've got another 2 or 3 layers of cleaning to do before this is finished anyway. And new rubber is installed and the bulbs have all been replaced. So it's starting to look a bit better. And the plastic's been cleaned and the playfield has been waxed now, so it's nice and shiny. It actually makes the playfield wear more annoying now that it's been. The rest of it all looks lovely and shiny. Hopefully that'll motivate me to get that done soon then. It's looking pretty good. It needs a few things. It needs a few new screws because, like I say, a lot of them are quite corroded. Yeah, it looks a hell of a lot better anyway. I'm having some intermittent problems with the CPU board, so I'm going to be replacing the Rom sockets. The CPU socket is already a nice new machine socket there, so just these Rom sockets to do. I've replaced all the sockets that I use now, and I've just put a test EEPROM in to check everything's working. I'll just do the memory test. passed. So I'll reinstall the game ROMs and put this into the game. Some of these under playfield bulbs are not working, and it's down to the bulb holders being all corroded and horrible. This is like a whole assembly. I don't think you can, these are like riveted in, I think. I don't think we can replace these individually, so I'm going to have to clean those up. Let's go over here. We've got the like high-end Dremel kit that doesn't actually come with anything useful. Fairly nice Dremel though, but what I'm using is these like Aldi knockoff accessories, which seem actually to be pretty good. So I'm going to give this little wire brush tip a go, see if I can clean some bulb holders up without destroying them. Right, let's give the Dremel a blast, see if it does any good. I'll just put on its slowest speed at first, see how that goes. That seems to be doing a pretty good job actually. You can see all the corrosion dust coming off straight away. I'll give a few a clean up and I'll test it out and see if it's actually worked. Oh, clean the lamp sockets worked fantastically. All the bulbs are now working except for one. This one over here. I'm not sure what's up with that one. I'm just going to check the wiring out, see if there's a wiring problem. That's quite obvious what it is now. It's actually the diode on the back of the lamp. We can get a 2.1 volt drop on it, which should be about 0.6. So I'm going to replace that diode and that should solve that problem. And that was a success. So as you can see, all the bulbs are now working. Excellent. I was going to go over the rest of the playfield, see if there's any dim bulbs or dodgy bulb sockets and clean those up as well. And then that should be the bulbs done. While I'm under the playfield, I'm just looking at the lane change switch, which is actually activated by the EOS plunger on the right hand flipper. So that's the lane change switch there. It looks like at some point the contact is worn out and someone's put a big blob of solder on to replace the contact. That's not working very well. So I'm going to replace that. I've just gone and removed a switch from one of the other spare playfields. So if we have a look, that's doesn't focus very well. That's this switch here. Now the EOS switch is really worn out, but the lane change bit looks okay. So I'm just going to separate the switch stack and fit just the lane change switch to my playfield. Let's try that now. Okay, all the bulbs are now working after using the Dremel and the Aldi tools to clean up the bulb holders. I have to say the Aldi tool set actually cost as much as one single Dremel tool, and that's about 105 pieces or something like that in that case, so pretty good value for money that, and it did a very good job. So okay, I'm just going to show an annoying scoreboard fault that's developed. Ignore that drawing from left to right, that's actually just the camera, not the actual displays. I'll put it into test mode. We look at the numbers cycling and test. You'll see they're pretty messed up. So looks like there might be two faults. Looks like there's a drive fault. We've got some segment issues. It's also counting strangely. It's not quite going 1 to 9. So we'll have to whip out the master display board and have a look at the logic on that, see what's causing that problem. Yeah, that's really messed up. On the master display board, I've removed and socketed the UDN 7180A, and I've just desoldered some of the same chip from some scrap display boards, so I've got some spares. I just need to test them actually first in the meter, make sure there's no shorts in any of them or anything like that. But that's the chip responsible potentially for the missing segments on player 2 and 3. There's still obviously a logic issue to address in relation to the numbers getting all screwed up. Okay, I've replaced this UDN 7180 here to hopefully fix some of the segment issues. I've put a new foam pad on the back of the display to stick it down, and I've cleaned and polished all these connectors, so I'm hoping there will be some improvement in the display at least. The displays are looking better now. It's just the middle segment on player 3 and 4 that's missing. Oh, and the master display first digit is also missing. So it's nearly there. Should be able to sort that out now. The displays are fully working now. On the master display board, I've ended up having to replace two 7180s and a 6118 and both of the BCD to 7 segment drivers. So it's quite faulty overall, but it's all done, fully working now. I'm currently getting intermittent strangeness with the displays, so I'm going to replace these connectors, which is the BCD outputs from the CPU and the display blanking signal. I'll put some fresh connectors on and see if that helps. That's it, the machine's finished for now. This has been more of a repair than a restoration, because there's quite a few cosmetic little bits and pieces that need doing still, like swapping the playfield wood for one thing. But yeah, it's all fully working, and it's ready to play. So that's it for now.
Launch mission